Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast from 1999. A game I remember from back in the day. People either loved it or it just confused them. I was one of the confused ones because my opinion of this game is the same as Sega's Nights into Dreams, which is a very creative yet very abstract game. And abstract games aren't really my thing, but I do respect the game design that went into this one because the title is without a doubt indicative of the actual gameplay. This is an adventure with Sonic the Hedgehog and friends. But unlike many adventure games these days, the best way to experience the adventure is not with a single playthrough, but multiple playthroughs, where you master levels and rack up points. And like Nights into Dreams, the game is structured around that formula. Multiple playthroughs like an arcade game. For instance, you don't play Centipede once for the storyline, there is no storyline, and you don't play Centipede once because it's addictive. You play it multiple times to rack up points. The same holds true for Sonic Adventure. Even though it seems like an adventure, it's basically an arcade game. In disguise. If it makes you feel better, throw quarters at your Dreamcast while you're playing it. I don't think that you can really appreciate Sonic Adventure or Nights into Dreams without fully memorizing the levels. Because the levels are rich, detailed, frequently have hidden areas and lots of things to jump on and collect, and the camera perspective in the game is frequently bizarre, and it's not entirely clear where you're looking, what you're looking at, or where to even go, until you memorize the level. The game saves your scores, and repeat gameplay is a lot of fun. And unlike the older two-dimensional games, which are really the ones I prefer, in this game, as the title would suggest, Sonic is on an adventure where he's doing your traditional Sonic the Hedgehog style things like running around and collecting rings and defeating bad guys and having boss battles, but he's also flying airplanes, driving bumper cars, snowboarding and charging down the side of buildings, among other things. The controls are fidgety, the adventure mode in the game is somewhat bizarre, and I certainly thought that it was awkward the first time I played through it. Unlike your traditional old-school Sonic the Hedgehog games, you don't go from point A to point B. You start somewhere and have to find the next location around a city map. There's hints along the way, and then you get things and put them on pedestals and open up other areas. And if you haven't played the game, let me explain. There's an adventure mode, which is a storyline, where there's adventure and exploration sequences that bookend action sequences. And then there's boss battles. I remember back in the day I drew comparisons between this game and Final Fantasy VII. Not so much the gameplay style, because the games have games within games within games. Which is pretty common now, but back then it really wasn't. And as you've seen in the footage, there's a wide variety of gameplay styles. In fact, in retrospect, it seems like most of the movie-based games these days have emulated Sonic Adventure. I'm playing the game here on my Sega Dreamcast. It's a nice looking game more than a decade after its release. Some of the textures come across as being a bit sloppy and make the adventure mode more complicated than it needs to be. Frequently I couldn't find caverns or tunnels I was looking for because they just kind of blended into the background. The controls on the Dreamcast version are really touchy. The thumbstick's not all that great for the running sequences. And I found a lot of delay from the time that you push a button till Sonic actually jumps. It's just a split second, but enough to be noticeable. And there's a lot of other things that you can do. You can play with other characters like Knuckles, Amy Rose, and Tails. You can even grow little monsters or something and then bring them with you on your VMU card if you really have the time to do that. For those who don't know, the Sega Dreamcast controller, the memory card that plugged into the Sega Dreamcast controller, had a little screen and thumb pad and buttons. And some games allowed you to play games on the memory card itself. And you could take it with you, and it was really fun for about 30 seconds. You can watch my review of the Dreamcast controller to see what I mean. This game got a nice re-release right about the time that I'm recording this now on Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network. In fact, I really prefer this game on the 360 because the 360 controller is basically an upgraded Sega Dreamcast controller with a better thumbstick for this game. So watch my review of Sonic Adventure on the 360 to learn more about the newer version of this game, which I'm happy to say is pretty much the same thing as this version. It's nice to see Sega giving their back catalog of awesome games some love and re-releasing them again without all kinds of goofy, unnecessary enhancements. There's no reason to upgrade this game. It's certainly got its own unique thing going on. It's not for everybody. If you prefer the 2D Sonic games like I do, you might not really dig Sonic Adventure. But if you love games like Nights into Dreams, or if you had this game on the Dreamcast back in the day, or you like something different, Sonic Adventure is a game that you should play. And it costs about the same price at the moment if you buy the Dreamcast version or just download it on Xbox or PS3. Depending on the condition and packaging. It's relatively affordable, and it's a big game to play with lots of replay value. And is usually on a Dreamcast fan's top 10. Now, my top 10 games on the Dreamcast are a bit different because I preferred the games like Giga Wing and Sword of the Berserk, but don't miss Sonic Adventure if you think it looks cool. And does this part remind anybody else of Scrooge McDuck? Was that his name? He had like the cave full of money or something? Even though the pinball games in here really aren't all that great, the casino is definitely my favorite part. You just can't go wrong with gambling and pinball. You can't. It's the natural order of things.
Hey, pump it up!